You guys are hard to hear.
Alder Keepus, glad to have you with us.
Here. Here.
All right, Chair Gary Talbot.
Here.
Vice Chair Matt Schuler.
Here.
Debbie Dean. Here. Alder Hinkes.
Here.
Bruce Rubus.
Here.
And Melanie Carmichael.
Recording in progress.
Okay, bottom line, you're for it. Thank you. Approval of the agenda, please.
Motion through.
Second. All those in favor of approving the agenda, signify by saying aye.
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 And we got the minutes from October 8th and October 11th. Was that order? Yep. And Matt, all in favor of approving the minutes of October 8th and October 11th, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion carried. The first part of the meeting is public hearing. There's three different things on the agenda. We're going to take one at a time. First, the public hearing is for KID 4, downtown/Washington Apartments. Is there anybody in the audience that wants to make a comment in regard to the KID 4 adjustments? Is there anybody in the...
Do you want Matt to give a little presentation on it?
That's great. That's
All
even
right.
better. That's even better. Thank you,
Tee it
Matt.
up and then you can
Yep.
resolutions.
Sure.
PowerPoint
All right.
All right, so here we are looking at a map of TID 4. So this was created back in January of '98. Had some major projects in this one over the years. This was a TID we used to help support a lot of the residential and commercial development along the waterfront, primarily south of Willamette. It also helped fund the Cherry Street parking ramp, a lot of the riverfront parkway improvements south of City Deck. It's been a good TID for us. It's coming up on its termination date in January of next year, so just right around the corner. So we're just looking to wind this one down. It had a fund balance at the end of last year of $435,000, just a little north of that. So with this allocation amendment, we are requesting that up to $500,000 of funds within TID 4 be allocated to TID 13, specifically for future development and public infrastructure projects within TID 13. If you wouldn't mind going to the next page. Thank you. This is TID 13, so just a little bit north of TID 4 in our downtown. This was created back in September of 2005. Also, pretty important district for us. It was pretty important for a lot of the redevelopment of our downtown, with the mall being redeveloped, Schreiber, City Deck as well. And just bear with me a second. We've got a little bit of time left on this one. It terminates in September of 32. As of last year, it was still a little bit in the hole, of about $268,000 in the red. We do project that this will come out of the hole eventually. By the time we're in 2032, there will be some additional investment in this district. There will be increased property values. We'll be in the black before long, but as of last year, we're still in the red. So with this TID allocation amendment, we're requesting that those $500,000 from TID 4 be moved to TID 13, as I mentioned, for those public infrastructure and development projects.
Okay. So we're going to look for public input one at a time on the TID 4 one. Okay, so we're open for public input in regard to the TID 4 changes. Is there any public input in regard to the TID 4 changes? Any public input in regard to the TID 4 changes? If not, we will go to TID 12. Consideration of possible action to adopt an allocation amendment resolution and amend the project plan for TID 12.
Let's just continue on with the second
Okay.
public hearing on that one.
All right. Yeah, okay.
And then we'll move on to the
I'm
next
ahead of
one.
myself. Yep, I am. Okay. So TID 12, please. I-43.
All right, so yes, this is the I-43 Business Park TID, created it in 2005. Of course, this was the TID that we used to build out the I-43 Industrial Park, so it was used for that upfront investment in public infrastructure, also used to support development agreements with commercial and industrial developers out here. It does terminate next year, is the mandatory termination date in September of '25. Last year, we had a pretty good positive fund balance of just north of $6 million. With this allocation amendment, we are requesting that up to $7 million funds in TID 12 be allocated for TID 13 for potential property acquisition. If you want to go to the next slide. Again, this is TID 13, the one we just covered. Yes, with this request, we'd be taking that $7 million, moving it over to TID 13 for potential property acquisition within that TID or within a half mile.
Okay. Okay, so is there any public input in regard to TID 12, which is I-43 Industrial Park? Any public input in regard to TID 12, I-43 Industrial Park? One more time. Any public input in regard to TID 12, I-43 Industrial Park? No, okay, then the last public hearing would be on TID 13, which we talked a little bit about, but give us a little bit more detail if you want.
Right, so with these allocation amendments, then we have to go ahead and amend the project plan for TID 13. As I mentioned, currently has a little bit of a negative balance, but with these amendments, we'd be bringing in that $7 million from TID 12 for property acquisition. So in the project plan, we'd be making an amendment in the document, just increasing that line item by $7 million. And then we'd be creating a new improvement, number 13, in the project plan to allow us to use that $500,000 from TID 4 toward other public infrastructure projects district-wide and within a half mile of that district.
Okay. Any public input in regard to TID 13 downtown development? Any public input in regard to TID 13 downtown redevelopment? Any public comments in regard to TID 13 downtown redevelopment? If not, that will be the end of our public hearing, and we'll get into the regular business. And the first one, regular business, consideration of possible action to adopt an allocation amendment resolution and amend the project plan for TID 4 downtown/Washington Apartments, which Matt covered earlier, but
Yes, yep, so no real additional information to share other than the staff does recommend approval. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
The joint review board did meet this morning, actually, and approved these items as well.
oh, good.
Cheryl, were you working with the city when this TID was created?
Yeah.
No
No
comment.
comment.
Okay, you don't have to answer.
I don't have to answer that, do I?
No.
I know it predates Gary, and I know it predates me. Just wondering.
I have a question.
Yes. Alder.
One question is, have we talked to the alders in the areas where the TIDs are being transferred and, I mean, they're all okay with this? Makes sense to me, but
We haven't any formal conversations about this with the elders, no. This is a pretty common thing we do every year. I don't think there's been any formal conversation.
I would, I mean, yeah, I would put a caveat to that, and that is the mayor and I have talked about it, and I'm good with it, Kathy. I think this is a smart strategy. TID 4 obviously is in my district, the TID 13 is as well, but I can't speak for the, what was the number of the industrial park one?
12.
Yeah, I can't speak for 12, but this is a smart move. This is what we need to do.
okay. I mean, I agree. I just didn't know if any of the other alders would have questions, but, okay. We'll move forward because I agree, makes sense.
It also sound like a motion, Alder Hinkpist?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, a motion for Alder Hinkpist, Matt, second by Matt. Questions or comments with regard to the motion? If not, all those in favor of the motion, please say by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Number 2, consideration of possible action to adopt an allocation amendment resolution and amend the project plan for TID 12, which is the I-43 Industrial Park. Anything else you want to add, Matt? Nope. Okay.
Move to approve.
There's a motion, all for the increase, I believe, right? And second by Steve. Questions or comments with regard to the motion? Not all in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion carried. Number 3, consideration of possible action to project plan amendment, resolution amend the project plan for TID 13 downtown redevelopment. Anything you want to add to that, Matt? Other than what you said earlier? Okay. Questions or comments?
Move to approve.
Alder Hinkes? Yes, I believe. Yep, and Steve?
Sure.
Yep, Steve, second by Steve. Questions or comments to the motion? If not, all in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Thanks. Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Matt. Great job, folks. Number 4, consideration of possible action to approve as the property owner of parcel number 12-112, a contract with Myron Construction for $109,701 for removal of the Heritage Trail Plaza.
That's me.
Please.
So, as a result of our development with new land,
Yeah.
which is, $74 million and 268 units, great development, very excited about it.
Yes.
But unfortunately, they're going to have to relocate the Heritage Trail section on there. We're actually, right now, working out a settlement agreement with the Packers at this point, but we've agreed to at this point, basically dismantle that entire section, including the plaques and the bricks, the statues, everything, right? Take that all down and then deliver that. I think we haven't really determined where at this point, but to the Packer organization, and then it would be up to them if they wanted to reinstall it or hopefully find a place for it downtown. We're working with Myron. Myron helped construct this originally.
Right.
So they're a natural, I think, selection to go with regards to this. And that's the contract that we're looking at. It's coming to the RE because we own the land, but this will need final approval through council as well.
Right. I also seen the paper yesterday where I asked them for public input on some good ideas as to where to, and I thought, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
So,
Cheryl, I just want to make sure that it's going to be placed in Green Bay, these statutes. Is that in there?
I'm gonna look, I'm gonna defer to our attorney. We're working out the settlement. I don't know if that's part of the settlement agreement.
It's up to the Packers.
That is not, it's up to the Packers at this point.
I mean, it was created within the city, and it would be nice to see it stay within the city.
Jeff, you must ask.
Whether it's on, at Lambeau Field or somewhere else within the city.
Jeff, you must have some great ideas as well. Other places could.
So I can't say I have great ideas, but the organization that I represent, Downtown Green Bay Incorporated, would like to share its belief and hope that a site located in downtown Green Bay would be agreed upon, and our organization is definitely willing to help find that right location that offers good visibility. When I just looked at the map of the Packers Heritage Trail sites, there are already 15 historic sites in our downtown, and many of the donors who gave to that project and had a plaque put on their building, like the Bellin Building and the Hotel Northland and the train depot and the Quality Inn where Vince Lombardi's office was, they gave to a program that was kind of headquartered in the downtown. So we would love to see that happen on a frequent basis. I see a trolley full of Packer fans, game day, before game day, after the games, and they're coming into the downtown and they're checking out all the sites, the site of the Green Bay Press Gazette, and all these historic locations in our city. And from what I remember when this installation was brought to our community 10 years ago, it was to connect our downtown sites, our historic sites, to 1265. And we hope that that continues. We think there are some good possibilities and some more that maybe we have not evaluated. Our organization would be more than happy to take a leadership role working with the Packers and the city and even some of the properties and donors as to how do we set up this installation for the future. I've noticed just over the past few weeks that there is some degradation of the existing asset. We look at the statues and they're beautiful, and You know, you've got the Bart Star signing a little girl's signature who is a replica of a former community leader. And the photographs in those cabinets are very compromised. So there is a need for significant overhauling of those contents. Sad to say, but the weather has not been kind to some of those assets over the past 10 years. Some of the photos are non-recognizable. Some of the text is not readable. Some of the photos, larger format, there are splits in some of those assets that need repairs anyway. Now, I'm not saying that's justification, but our organization supports the proposed development, realizes that, you know, the city and the Packers have reached an agreement as to who owns the land and who owns the statues. But we hope that there is a community initiative, and it's awesome that the Press Gazette is doing a poll. It's a non-binding poll, of course, but we feel that if other sites, even if a timeout on the next location, it doesn't have to be under construction in a month or two, finding the right location, whether that's on the grounds of the Neville Public Museum, which is the first stop on the Packers Heritage Trail. There's a Packers Plaza, which I've been out and assessed that site, and it is a very large area. It is on the land that's very close to the KI Convention Center and the Hampton Inn, with good visibility. There are pros and cons to every location, but we hope to participate in an initiative to find the right long-term location, even if there's some redesign work that needs to be done. But you know, please note that there are some improvements that need, there's some repairs on a significant basis that are needed at the current location.
Very good. Thanks, Jeff. Mr. Mayor, you want to add
Yeah, I think Mr. Marcus obviously laid it out really well, as did Director Renier Wig. But I just want to make the point that it was always our intention to work cooperatively with the Packers. We had numerous conversations with them to identify potential sites. You know, when we knew that the plaza was going to have to be relocated because of the redevelopment opportunity we have with new land, we reached out immediately to them and felt like we were having some good constructive conversations. They decided to pursue a legal remedy rather than, you know, hash things out cooperatively, which is their right. So that's why we're here.
Okay. So really, just to make it clear, all we're approving is the $109,701
Right.
to remove it.
So-
That's really what our agenda item is. Any other comments, or everything, entertain a motion?
I'll make that motion to approve the contract. Sorry, Matt, can I? Yeah, go ahead.
Yes.
Did we get bids?
We went, actually, this is not considered a public project, so.
Understood.
We were able to go to Myron because they had the expertise and the fact that they constructed it originally.
Okay.
Okay, motion by Matt,
Second.
seconded by Debbie. Any questions or comments in regard to the motion? If not, all in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion carried. Thanks. Number 5, consideration of possible action to approve the First Amendment to the Development Agreement 22-01 with 222 Cherry Street LLC. Matt's got that one.
Yes.
Yep.
All right, so some of you may recall back in September of '22, the RDA and County Council approved Development Agreement 2201, which is the redevelopment of 222 Cherry Street. This is, many of us know this is the former Bosses, was located here, southwest corner of Cherry and Adams Street. It's a one-story commercial building. The developer at the time made a proposal. We approved a development agreement that included 57 market rate apartments, 10,000 square feet of ground floor commercial space. Let's see, sorry, one moment. $8 million in increased property value, I believe. And then, yeah, and it set the schedule. And it was anticipated to be constructed by March of '25. Unfortunately, the developer ran into some challenges with financing. The volatile issues with the markets, with construction costs, with interest rates, caused the project to stall out. But we are happy to be bringing this back here today for an amendment to that development agreement. There's some minor changes to the project. Instead of the 57 market rate units, we are increasing that with this amendment to 71 units. The overall building really isn't changing as far as what it looks like from the exterior. We're just making some of the units a bit smaller to provide some additional units inside that building. So that is one of the primary changes to this DA, as well as, of course, the dates in the development agreement. We are changing a number of benchmarks. Primary one, we're changing the completion date from March of 25 to December of 26. We're also looking to increase the minimum property value. So at the time, we were anticipating a property value of $8 million. With the changes to the building, it's been a couple of years later, everything's more expensive. The property value we now anticipate to be at least at $9.5 million. So we're making that adjustment. And with that, we are changing the pay-go a little bit. Back in 2002, the DA allowed for an 80% pay-go TIF incentive. We're going to change that to 95% for the first 5 years after the completion of construction. And then reducing in the DA, or I'm sorry, in the draft that's in the packet, it says reducing the pay-go to 75% for the remainder of that incentive period. That's Oh, I'm sorry, I thought it was 80. It was 80 back in 2002. With this amendment, we're looking to change it to 95% for the first 5 years, and then after that, for the remainder. In the packet, it says 75%. Minor issue, it's actually 76%. Not a significant difference in dollars, but we want to be transparent. It's actually 76% for the remainder of the incentive period. We're also revising the source of the TIF assistance. Back in 2002, we were using TID 24, which is a 20-year mixed-use TID. Now that we've got TID 27 created, which is a 27-year blight TID, we're going to use that one instead. It provides us additional years to generate increment. So that's the last major revision to cover here. Any questions? I believe the developer is on the call, and either he or I would be happy to answer questions.
Matt, real quick to you, the existing structure comes down now, correct? It doesn't
Yes.
use that as the first floor anymore?
Nope.
Okay.
Nope, the plan would be to demolish the existing structure and build new.
I personally wouldn't mind opening it up and listening to the developer a little bit. Is there a motion to open the meeting?
Motion to open the floor.
Alder Hinkes?
Second.
Second Matt. All those in favor saying aye?
Aye.
So, tell us a little more from your perspective, how confident you are with the project, et cetera. Oh, we'll be there.
Peter, are you on the call?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Well, first of all, I appreciate the patience that the RDA and the city has had in letting us, for the last couple of years, really rethink how we wanted to approach this development. We've gone through a number of budgets, a number of approaches. Matt and Cheryl have been very collaborative in coming up with ideas on how we can approach different things. I think the schedule of the PAYGO TIF is a perfect example of that. Where we are right now, we had to raise additional equity given the higher cost of the project. But we have a financing commitment. That was a big step for us. We have our investors who are fully committed to the project. We are putting our construction schedule together right now, and the plan our demo contractor would like to start as early as December. We're thinking it's probably just after the first of the year that we start to work on some demo within the vertical build late into the first quarter in that March, April timeline. That's when we would see some stuff coming out of the ground. To answer the question on the existing structure that's there, yes, that will be completely demoed, and we will be starting fresh then from the ground up.
Questions for the developer? Anybody got any questions or comments? I think it's pretty straightforward. Matt, I need to recap. Please. Alder Hinkman,
Gary?
do you have a question?
Yes, I just want to make sure that we're still connecting through the ramp.
Oh, good question. Yes, the connection is still to the ramp. We have a fourth floor connection from our property to the ramp. So that is definitely an important part of our development. Good question.
Awesome, thank you.
Any other questions for the developer? Steve, Matt, Devin? If now, entertain a motion to go back to regular order business.
So moved.
Steve and Matt, all those in favor, say aye.
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 So we are back to regular order business. Agenda item number 5.
And then just real quick, Matt, there was a change to 75 to 76, but there were numbers in the packet about the amount of tax increment financing that would go to the project and therefore the rest that would go to the city. Did those numbers change?
We have more years to work with, going from 20 years to 27. The project cost is more, the value of the building is more. The general incentive, though, is the same as far as we are averaging out an 80% PAYGO.
Yep.
That's what we had before, an 80% PAYGO.
Yeah, and it looked like there was more increment that flowed to the city, just because the project is bigger and more years. That still holds true even with the 75 to 76.
Yep.
Okay.
Any other questions for Matt? If not, I entertain a motion.
I'd make the motion then to approve the First Amendment to Development Agreement 22-01 with 222 Cherry Street LLC.
Motion by Matt, second by Debbie. Questions or comments regarding the motion? If not, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion carried. Thanks. It's very exciting. It's a great.
Yes,
It's
excited
a
to get it
beautiful
moving.
project.
Thank
Absolutely.
you. Us too. Appreciate your support.
You're welcome. Number 6, consideration of possible action to approve a planning option extension to Investment Creations LLC for RD-owned property at 227 East Walnut Street, 101 and 109 North Adams Street, parcels 12-118, 12-119, and 12-122. What's the matter?
It's Matt's favorite building.
Yeah. Oh, yes, oh, yeah.
Thanks for having me.
That's right.
All right, Rhonda Bidney put this staff report together for us. She's on vacation, so I will take it off her hands. So back in May, you might remember that RDA approved a 6-month planning option to Investment Creations for the Shower and Schumacher properties, as you can see here. So since that time, staff has been working closely with the developer as they've conducted their due diligence and they've worked to secure a tenant. We believe we are very, very close to negotiating a final development agreement. So we are at the point where the developer is just needing a little bit more time. They're coming forward to request a 3-month extension to that initial planning option. Don't anticipate we'll need those full 3 months before we're back here again, but just request a little bit more time to hash out the details of the development agreements. Developer is here in attendance, along with a potential tenant. If you'd like to ask them any questions, they're prepared and more than ready to share.
Motion open for it.
Okay, motion by Steve, open the floor.
Second.
Motion and a second by Matt. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The floor is open. Care to make some comments, please?
Sure. What would you like to know?
Your confidence level, try number one.
Well, my confidence level is pretty high, so I don't see any reason why we should run into any issues. And it's just a matter of, we need to figure out the...
Sorry to interrupt, would you mind just giving your name and address for the
Sure.
record? It's
Umar Sheikh, and my address is 409 East Wisconsin Avenue in Neenah.
Thank you.
So, and, see this?
Randall Petrowski, my address is 3210 Windover Road in Green Bay.
Okay.
Do you want to maybe explain what you're planning on doing with the building?
Sure.
I'm going to apologize in advance. I'm in a court hearing right now, so when the judge calls me, I gotta go. So.
So the plan is on the 109 site, the entire 3 floors is going to be occupied by Everson Law. And their entire offices, so main floor is the reception, entrance, boardroom, conference rooms, and then offices up above, including the basement. And the plan for the 227 site remains very similar to what it is currently. So,
Okay. And timeline? What are you considering?
timeline, we're working on just the final details of the agreement,
Okay.
crossing the Ts, dotting the Is, and all of that, and I'm hoping that we'll have everything sorted out on our end within the next week, 10 days, and then we'll be coming to RDA and putting together all the, whatever we need to do for the development agreement, and hopefully by the January meeting, we'll have something in front of you to put together, if not sooner. But just because of the holidays, it kind of, there's a lot of time crunch, a lot of vacation time in between, so.
Right, is 90 days sufficient to get your diligence done? I mean, not that
Right.
we aren't all excited to see some movement, but, I mean, can you get holidays, 90 days, everything you need in that timeframe?
Yeah,
Here for January?
Most of the work is already done, it's just basically tweaking and getting everything finalized and along those lines, so, yeah. We have pretty much the layout, everything that we need to do inside, pretty much planned out. It's just a matter of getting the architects to actually put the pen to paper, so.
Any other questions for the developer? If not, I'll entertain a motion back to regular business.
So moved.
Steve?
Second.
Alder Lucas? All in favor, going back to regular business, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion carried. We're back to regular business.
I recommend a 90-day extension as listed in the agenda.
Steve?
Now second.
In all their interests, motion and second to recommend the 90-day extension. All questions or comments with regard to the motion? If not, all in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion carried. Hey, that's their story for their time. Number 7, consideration of possible action to hire attorney Terry Rassa of Hanaway Ross Law Firm to accomplish a quiet title action for property at 401 9th Street.
All right.
Please.
Look, I gave you the whole story in the report, but in a nutshell, we've been, look, and you made this comment before, we were actually involved with this building on the corner of 9th and Broadway before I even started.
Okay, love that one.
But it's really been operating as a Hmong Community Center for over 20 years, right? So when we deeded this property over, we deeded it over to the Hmong Center of Green Bay, Inc. in 2014 with a disclaimer on the deed saying if you ever dissolve, it's got to come back to the RDA. Because it was like a no-cost transfer deal. Well, this entity, the Hmong Center of Green Bay, dissolved. I'm not sure exactly when. We weren't aware of that. But upon that dissolution, a new board was formed and created, and they formed their own LLC called the Hmong American United Green Bay. And they continued to operate the center. But then they approached us in this year, they're like, hey, can we work together? We need some work on it. And we did some search and we're like, you guys don't own this building anymore, and we didn't get it back. So really, what we need to do is go to circuit court action to get what's called quiet title, to try to get this building back so we can continue to work that and keep this as a community center, but we need to establish ownership.
Sure.
So we highly trying to.
So it'd be about us, as the RDA, reestablishing ownership
Ownership,
of the
correct.
property. So it doesn't kind of change the operating condition.
Correct.
Just-
In fact, they're still operating out of that building
Yep.
as a community center, but then at least we'll have ownership, we can make repairs or work with them.
Got it.
Good explanation.
That makes sense?
Yes, it does.
It's a long story.
Well, that's good.
Yeah?
I would make the motion to hire attorney Terry Barassa from Hanaway Ross Law Firm to accomplish a quiet title action for property at 401 9th Street.
Is that quiet versus noisy?
There's no
I
gavel.
requested a quiet.
Okay,
There's no
well,
gavel.
well, there you go.
But you
I know.
still have the right to quiet enjoyment, so don't worry about that.
Okay. Motion by Matt. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Steve. Questions or comments regarding the motion? If not, all those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion carried. Thanks. Thank you. Good explanation. Number 8, consideration of possible action, term sheet 2024-01 with Mosky Corporation for redevelopment project at 1116 Hobart Drive and 0 Hobart Drive, tax parcel 6H-1110-1, 6H-1110-19. Yes, Matt, please.
All right, would you mind going to the next slide, please? All right, this is the property we are looking at today off Hobart Drive. This is just south of the West Mason Frontage Road, partial south. So this is undeveloped property, as you see. We got a proposal to develop this from Mosport. They're looking to do 30 units of multifamily housing. This would be market rate. They have approached us requesting TIF assistance. They have shown in their pro forma a $400,000 funding gap and are requesting a PAYGO TIF deal to close that gap. So we're still kind of a little bit early on in this one. We received the request a couple of weeks ago. So we just need a little bit more time to put this together. However, to keep things moving along, to help them shore up financing, we wanted to take this to RDA here this week, go to the term sheet route. We don't do term sheets as frequently as we used to. It's a stepping stone to a development agreement. It's not legally binding, but it kind of provides some assurance to the developer that staff, RDA, the council are supportive of the project, and we are working towards that final development agreement. So that's what we've got here. Some general terms were laid out in that term sheet that was in the packet. We look to provide that TIF PAYGO financing of up to $400,000 to close that gap. Could do that as a 80% PAYGO. This would be out of our new Southwest Woods TID 26.
Far west side.
Far west side. This is the proposal, by the way. So 3-story multifamily project. It's the current layout shown. While we work towards the development agreement, we might work with the developer to make some improvements to the design. Specifically really focused along the street. Currently the building is faced perpendicular rather than parallel to the street. We want to make sure that the building is visibly attractive and is pedestrian oriented and a little bit more engaged with the street. So,
And hopefully parking behind it.
Oh, well, maybe some green space, man, it's 30 units on 1.2 acres, huh?
we could look at that.
Yeah.
It is tight.
I'm sorry, what was your question, Steve?
Well, some green space, when
Oh,
we do with
oh, oh.
stormwater, right, like that's a lot of hardscape for not a big parcel.
Yeah, this is a preliminary design.
Yeah, all right, so what is the actual
Probably-
ask?
I'm sorry?
We're just talking about a start of a developer agreement?
Right.
And
term
so
sheet.
we'll see some further development of this as that gets along, that would be the idea.
Yes. Yep, so, yeah, any other questions? By the way, the developers are in the room and we'll also be happy to answer your questions.
but it's up to you.
I don't have any questions at this stage,
No.
based on what's in the term sheet.
Okay, any other questions for Matt? I will take a motion.
I'd make the motion that we move ahead with term sheet 2024-01 with Mosky Corp. for the development project at 1116 Hobart Drive and 0 Hobart Drive.
Okay. Motion by Matt, second by Deb? Yep, second by Deb. Questions or comments in regard to the motion? If not, all those in favor of the motion, please say by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Thank you. We are number 9. Number 9. Consideration of possible action on development agreement 24-06 with Living Downtown LLC for the redevelopment of 425 Pine Street, tax parcel 11-139. And again, it's Matt. This young man.
This day, yes. All right, so this is the parcel for 425 Pine Street. Some of us might know it as the US Bank Building downtown. We've been approached by a developer, a property owner, with a development agreement request with TIF assistance. They are proposing to rehab this building, floors 3 through 7, converting that vacant office space on those floors into 55 market rate apartments. They continue to maintain the existing commercial uses on floors 1 and 2. Property is currently valued at $2.87 million. With this rehab, the assessor estimates we'd be right about $9.6 million. They have, as I mentioned, approached us with a request for funding. They have a funding gap currently in their pro forma of $4.1 million and have requested that the city supports the project with PAYGO TIF assistance. So looking up front here, we have worked with them. We've determined that probably 85% is something that we can be able to provide with a new TID. We do not have a TIF district ready to go here on this particular site, so we would have to create a new district in 2025.
What's all going on in the building today? Is it fully occupied today, or just partially, or I don't know?
It's,
Developers are here.
yeah, the developers are available to answer those questions. I can say that currently the first and second floors are occupied for commercial uses. Yeah, Stryber Foods was up there previously. Floors 3 through 7 are not utilized.
Matt, the plan had the bug tussle highlighted, but the renderings are just showing the US Bank Building. Is it just this property? It's just this building?
It's just this building.
It is, okay.
Bug Tussle's next door.
It looked like that part of that building though.
Oh, okay, all right, I'm just rotated 90 degrees.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes sense, I got
okay.
it.
Yeah, the parcel does include, it looks like the the Pine Street ramp.
Yeah.
They actually do own the land underneath a portion of that.
This is the first time it's been brought to us. I would like to open up the meeting to hear a little bit more about it. Debbie?
Second.
Second by Matt. All in favor, someone say aye.
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 Please, give us a little more background on the project.
Tim Bisa, 2867 Shelter Creek Court, Green Bay. I'm the managing member for the partnership for Living Downtown. I've taken ownership of the building about 3.5 years ago from US Bank and have marketed the building with many different options and opportunities. And this is the first thing that really gained some good traction about 1.5 years ago. Since then, we've done our homework and research and found the shortage of living downtown Green Bay, had a few conversations with Matt as well and Cheryl, and they had some good guidance on how we can come to an agreement to develop this property and make it affordable. They will be market rate units. US Bank will continue to occupy the first and second floors of the building. They have about another 3 years left on their lease with 4 more options to renew their lease for 5 additional years at each option. The intent of the development is to have very upscale apartments available for lease, as well doing a rooftop build-out for public area, or not public area, I'm sorry, to the tenants within the building, to try to give a high quality of life standard down there and try to do a all-inclusive rent for the tenants, which is a little unusual for most apartment buildings. Because of the way the structure sits and everything, it's very challenging to divide out the utilities and such. And I think today's style of living that people look for is, I want to write out one check, but I want to have all the amenities in life. So we do plan quite a few upscale amenities within the facility itself as well. But at this point, we, of course, need this assistance in order to make financial sense to move forward with the project.
And could you just chat a little bit about, right, you're taking an existing office structure, converting it to residential, just some of the challenges you face in doing that?
I think some of the biggest challenges, obviously, is to make the squares fit inside the square. And to be honest with you, we've been working on floor plans for that to make it work, where you can get enough units that make sense, but yet have enough space for those units that tenants would be attracted to that lifestyle. We also feel that the views of the city of Green Bay that it has to offer with a 7-story building makes it a very unique opportunity as well. The location of the building is excellent. I think our last obstacle we really have to cross to get to the finish line on this is our parking situation. We will be having conversations with the Green Bay Parking Utility on occupying some of the parking spaces with the adjacent ramp. But as far as the challenges, I think the biggest thing is really to the logistics of demoing the property from inside and then redelivering all the materials to rebuild that property inside. As you know, it's concrete all the way around with sides and the parking utility and such. So I think some of our biggest challenges right now today are the logistics to do that.
Okay. Sure. Can you tell us a little more about the timeline?
Well, if we get approval and anticipate approval with City Council next week, we'll be starting immediately. The 7th floor of the building has been demoed some time ago, but we anticipate we are moving forward on engineering the plans, so they'll be ready within a few weeks. All of our budgets are in place, all of our contracts are in place, ready to be signed. We've met with 2 different local lenders on financing the project. We have some outlines for the financing. We've not finalized that yet,
Sure.
but we'll be doing that within the next 20 to 30 days.
Well, we'll move right along. Any other questions for the developer?
Tim, you had...
No, the sounds very exciting.
It is. Thank you.
Yeah, it is, and it'll really make that building look a lot better.
It will.
Tim, you had mentioned to us about having some units with like the collapsible walls that would make like more efficient use of space. You create an office, like the wall would move out. Are you still doing some of that stuff?
Yes. That's Ryan is spearheading that on the project. I think, how many units are you looking at?
There's 4 or 5 units with ORIs.
So it's like a hidden room almost,
Yeah.
that the wall moves right and then it
Yeah, it's a
creates-
desk, it's basically a desk unit that has, it looks like a bookshelf, and it slides out, and behind that, it opens up into a desk area with a seating area, and then it slides back and has a TV on the other side.
Yeah.
So,
That is very exciting. Any other questions for the developer?
Is there anything that we have to do because the TID is not created? Or is it we approve the development agreement and move along with the TID?
Right, oftentimes we have development agreements that we can approve, but we don't have a TID in place yet. So in the language of the development agreement, we specify that we will request a new TID be created through the Joint Review Board, Common Council, and RDA. We ran out of time. You had to have TIDs in place and created for this fiscal year by October. So we will be looking to do this for 2025. And that's actually an appropriate time to create the TID for this particular project, considering their timeline for construction. So we'll be back to create the TID district.
awesome, and we don't anticipate any issues.
We've been very successful in the past with creating TIF districts, and this is appropriate. It's an eligible property for rehab, rehab TID. So, no, I would not anticipate any issues.
Good, I guess that's what I was wondering. So as long as aren't going to have any issues and we can get this developed, that'd be awesome.
Any other
So-
questions for the developer? Okay.
I move to approve.
We have a motion to go back to regular order of business, please. Steve?
Yes, so moved.
And Matt, motion and second to go back to regular order of business, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, we are back to regular order of business now. Somebody have some questions for Matt?
I'm just because I'm curious, right? We just moved a bunch of TID money from one TID to another TID. Oh, sorry, moved a bunch of TID money from one TID to another TID, and all of them wrapped right around this parcel.
Right.
Can we not just modify a TID to include the parcel, or you gotta write a whole new one?
It's ideally better to create a brand new one for this one. We would be able to generate more increments with a brand new district that would be up and going for 27 years, which provides the increment we need to be able to.
Pick enough one, okay, that makes sense.
Yep, yep. So, yeah, with the pay-go deal, once they make the improvements to the building, the assessed values go up, that's what covers the incentive.
Okay, I get it.
Okay, with that, regular order of business. Questions, comments?
Carrie?
Yes, please.
Just a comment. Real quickly, Steve, the other advantage too is TIDs are limited by the number of times that you can amend them and the boundaries. So just another thought sometimes that goes into the contemplation of what makes more sense.
Yep.
But I just want to make a comment on this one where, we've handled, other conversion projects in the past. And this type of building, I just wanted to point out, is the type of building that is ideally situated for this type of conversion. Big box retail has a lot of different challenges that this one will not incur. And so I just really wanted to make sure that we're differentiating between maybe a prior project that's been here and this one, and that this one does have sort of the windows, the amenities, the access, the things that the other project didn't. So, and I've met with the developer a number of times to have those conversations. So I just kind of wanted to disclose that,
Excellent.
this is really ideal for this type of conversion.
Very good, thank you. Questions or comments? Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve Living Downtown LLC for the redevelopment of 425 Pine Street, tax parcel 11-139.
Okay.
Second.
We have a motion by Alder Hinkes and a second by Matt. Questions or comments in regard to the motion? Not all in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 All right. Opposed, motion carried. Thank you. Excellent. It is a very exciting project.
This is cool.
Very cool. Number 10, consideration of possible action to award KICC 2-24 West Rotunda repair contract to IEI General Contractor for $402,253.03. Yes.
So you were told we had spring cleaning during the time that we had hired VSA to look at the whole project to see why it leaked and if we needed further work done. We did need to do further work on that area. Came to the RDA because the project was bid out. And a lump sum came in over $1 million. We're like, don't accept this, let's rebid it.
Yep.
We rebid it out. Got a better number at $402,253. We had 2 bids. That was the low bid. So asking to approve this contract, the Redevelopment Authority will have to pay $118,190 portion of that amount, and then the balance would come from insurance in the high. So we'd like to make these repairs so it's not as important.
So I need to abstain from this one, but first time through, we got one bid and it was like 1.1 million.
Yeah.
Second time through, they were real close.
Yep.
And pretty competitive, so it pretty well represents the work listed. There's,
Okay.
yeah, but I need to
Okay.
abstain from this
Okay.
one, yeah. Thanks.
All right.
I'd make the motion that we award KICC 2-24 West Rotunda repair contract to IEI General Contractors for $402,253.03.
A second.
Okay, a motion by Matt, second by Debbie. Questions or comments on the motion? If not, all in favor of the motion, please say by saying aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, motion carried. Thank you. Bottom line is fixing it. once and
Yes,
forever.
yes, yes.
All right. All right. So that's, okay, I looked at the financial report and check register, had a couple questions. They answer them. I don't have any other questions, unless somebody else does. Yeah, records report.
Report.
There it is.
We've handed out our update sheet, so if you have any
Yep.
questions about anything happening there, we've covered a lot at this meeting today on things we've been working on. Working through, as a department, through the budget process. That'll go to council next week for approval for the city budget. So do you have any questions?
Just glad to see the boss is going green now.
Yeah.
For a little bit. Not unused to report, I like it. It took a while to get used to it, but I like it. It's very, very informational and very specific. Jeff, anything, oh, I'm sorry, Debbie.
Question.
Yes.
I received an email from Bill Peters about that the RDA is holding a public meeting on November 20th at the library. Has already extrapolated out?
Yep, we're starting our 5-year consolidated plan, so we're looking for public input on how best to use block grant dollars, so that's going to be a public meeting. That's going to be held, that will not be an RDA meeting.
Oh, it said that it was.
Well, it's an RDA, if the RDA is sponsoring it, but it's not an official RDA meeting, it's actually a public input meeting. So now the word will get out on that, so anybody interested that would like to make comment on how best to use those dollars. We'll use that then in putting that 5-year plan together.
So the expectation is that we will attend the meeting at the library? Okay.
Can you send out an invite on that, Cheryl?
Yes.
Thank you.
Krista sat here for most of the meeting. No, she just left. We just left. So yes, I'll make sure that everyone gets that.
Jeff, anything downtown you want to tell us about?
Sure. Since it's bye week, for any of you RDA commissioners or anyone here who wants to bring out your best 1920s or 1930s attire, the celebration of the 100 years of the Hotel Northland takes place Saturday evening at the Hotel Northland. It looks like a very fun event. There will be special guest appearance by Vince Lombardi, John F. Kennedy Jr., and Eleanor Roosevelt. And all proceeds will benefit a very notable cause in our community, the NEW Community Shelter. So come on out and enjoy a fun evening at the Hotel Northland Saturday evening.
I plan to be there. I got a special hat and bow tie. I'm ready to rock and roll. But anyway, it's like a lot of fun. And for a great cause, as you said.
It is. And our city contributed so much to the success of that development. And I think it's important that we come on out and enjoy it and have fun and celebrate just the impact that the Hotel Northland has had on our community over the past 100 years.
Absolutely.
No, Jeff, you sent us an invitation to that once already, didn't you?
I may have. That sounds like something I would do.
Yeah.
We had something a while ago, and then there was another.
After one of the meetings, you said, I'll send you an invitation. And I think you said.
Thanks, Jeff. Leah, are you at work? If not, Brooke is probably busy, but Brian could give us an update or anything.
No, I
you want
can
to tell us
see
about
Leah right
our project?
The only thing that I would say, Gary, is that I'm so grateful to have this East Side venue help support a West Side nonprofit, so thank you, Jeff.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
The rivalry is still alive and well.
It's fierce.
Anything else? Any questions or comments to the staff or Mr. Mayor or whatever? Anybody? If not, our next meeting is December 5th, and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion and second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Wow, we covered a lot of great ground. Oh my God.
God, we did, yes.
Hey, Andrew.
A lot of great ground.
Recording.